If you're alone with your thoughts and dreams and no one around you understands what it means to be an entrepreneur, you're in the right place. In this interview, we will discover the secret of finding your true self and how the power of female friendship led to greater success and happiness for our guest. I'm Maureen Ryan Blake, and welcome to the Power of the Tribe. My next guest, Romi New York Times best-selling author of Get Out of Your Own Damn Way, is here with us today, and I am thrilled. Romi, welcome, and tell us how you got here and a little bit about yourself.
Thanks so much, Maureen. I am so excited to be with you. Thank you for asking me to be a part of this. Women are my jam. So anytime we can come together and build each other up, I am all for it. So thank you. I've had a really fun journey. And, sometimes that word is so cliche, but it's true. It's been one hell of a journey. I started out as a corporate chick. I went straight to law school after college and thought that a safe, stable thing to do for somebody who likes to write and speak is law. And so I got a law degree and started out as a lawyer. And I hope this doesn't offend any lawyers watching, but I hated it. I was a litigator, and turns out I'm not put on this earth to argue and fight. I'm put here to build people, build things up, build businesses, all of that. So I quickly transitioned after a few years to public relations. And I was a PR executive in both New York and Seattle for a number of years. And then met my doctor husband, John, and fell in love. And we started having kids. And like so many women, I had two little ones and I had a busy career, and I was trying to figure out how the hell to juggle it all. And even, Maureen, it's the case in the world today, a two professional household, even working our butts off, we weren't getting ahead. I mean, we were getting by, but not ahead. And I certainly didn't own my time. Anyone who's watching who is part of the billable hour fee for service landscape knows that you're at the beck and call of your clients. So 10 years ago, an entrepreneurial opportunity dropped in my lap, and I just jumped at the chance. And it was in a business channel that I really didn't know much about and had very little exposure, direct sales, but it was a company and a product that really excited me, founders of a company that excited me. And I jumped in alongside everything else and have been able to build a business that has allowed me to truly own my own time, to leave corporate America, the billable hour behind, allowed my husband to leave clinical practice and truly pursue his own professional dreams and be more of a hands-on mom. And the other part of this, and you never know where life is going to take you and what opportunity is going to lead to the next, which is what's so exciting. Because of my success, I just felt the need to write a book about how I did what I did. And I wrote that book. It's called Get Over Your Damn Self. And it became a huge success to equip mostly women. I kind of have a female voice, mostly women to succeed in our kind of business or sales or anything where you have to put yourself out there in order to succeed and to flourish. And so
I love your book. I love your book. It's powerful, it's straightforward, and it's just fantastic. I absolutely love it. I'm so thrilled that you were here because I was listening to you as I was reading it, and I just couldn't wait to meet you.
Oh, well, good.
Okay, so you've been in you have in your entrepreneurial life, you're around a lot of women, and you work to inspire women. Was it always that way in corporate?
In law, especially back when I was practicing law, and I don't want to date myself. Oh, well, what the hell? I had my 49th birthday recently. So when I was practicing law in the mid 90s, it was predominantly men still. Women, absolutely, but predominantly men. And in PR, there were a lot of women, but still at that point, not a ton of women who were in the upper management roles. But what's interesting about the corporate landscape versus the entrepreneurial one, and especially in direct sales, is, as you know, in corporate America, there are a finite number of positions at the top, right? So you can have the most collaborative, amazing company, but if you do have any kind of a hierarchical structure, that competition, that scarcity mindset for the top positions is going to necessarily bleed into it. So in this world that I found myself, which is extremely collaborative with an unlimited amount of places in the upper echelons for people to rise. There are no positions per se, there are titles, you can move up a hierarchy in terms of earnings and things like that, but anybody can do it. There's no limit. So it removed that type of competitive landscape, which I thought was just amazing and so refreshing. And I'm thrilled that it's not just in direct sales that we're finding this more and more now. We're finding it more often in the entrepreneurial landscape among groups of women who are coming together and collaborating and brainstorming and supporting one another, because I think it's very clear. I'm so sorry, I'm getting some rings through. It's never ending on this end. I think it's becoming abundantly clear that there's enough out there for all of us, no matter what it is that we're trying to put out in the world, products, services, ideas. And I'm thrilled to see so many of us, like yourself, like the other people that you're featuring in this series, really coming together and saying, okay, how can I help you? How can we help one another? How can we elevate the conversation? How can we put more good out in the world? And let's see what we can do. Because I'm a big believer, as you know, we've just recently met, but I'm a big believer, as you know, the more positive female energy that we can get out there, the better this world's going to be.
I like rewriting that whole stereotype of women and fighting, and let's rewrite that and make it what it really is.
Well, and to be fair and to be honest, there still is a little bit of I don't know if we want to call it angst or women being highly critical of one another. I really think, and I've been guilty of this, we tend to not give ourselves a hell of a lot of grace, and we tend to be critical of other women too. But I think, Maureen, I figured out the core reason why. And it's because so many women are not living the lives that they really want to live. They are so consumed by shoulds. We're shoulding all over the place. All the things that we think we should be doing, all the places that we're showing up in our lives, doing for others, how we look while we're doing it, all these things. And it's taking us away from either figuring out what the hell is it that we really want to do in life, and then focusing our time, effort, and attention to fulfill that, our true priorities. And I think when women, like anybody else, feel that we're not living our truth, that we're being pulled in too many directions that don't feel authentic to us, that we can get resentful. We can even play the comparison game. We can get jealous of one another. And we sure as hell don't have as much grace with ourselves when we're tired or end up yelling at kids or not doing something in the professional realm that's as good as we think it can be. And so I'm on a mission to help women figure out how to have it all, your all, not mine, because yours is going to look different than mine, and then how to get there and how to say no to everything else. And I think we will be better equipped, more rested, less stressed, less bitchy, and happier, so we can truly help each other go after our own unique goals.
Okay, so on that note, when it comes to female friendship, what role and impact has it had in your business and in life?
So my business is all about relationships. Okay, so I'm in a business channel where, of course, we have relationships with our customers, and my business is skincare, so it's it's a real personal one where people are talking about, they could change one thing about their skin, what the hell would it be? I mean, it's a personal conversation, it's relationships, and there has to be that trust factor. In addition to that, in the channel that I'm in, we also grow organizations. We grow teams of other entrepreneurs that do the same thing. And that is an incredible relationship business. And it's not only about, okay, how much can you produce to meet your goals, but it's who are you as a person, and what is your reason why for wanting to do this? What drives you? What is your intrinsic motivation? How can I help support that? And that becomes extraordinarily personal, and and it eliminates just the cold numbers game that folks sometimes see a lot in sales and marketing, and brings a real human aspect. And we're very vulnerable with one another about our challenges, and that it's scary sometimes. And yes, just like everything, there are disappointments, and um, but we really band together to help lift each other up and to laugh our asses off often, because that's necessary. But also, again, I think this goes back to the fact that there's enough room for everybody. There's enough, and the scarcity of, if you're successful, that means I'm going to be less successful, simply does not exist. And I have to tell you, over the last 10 years, I have amassed some of my closest friends through this community. And we've all really grown and stretched and evolved into more of the women we were meant to be through this experience.
I like that. The women we're meant to be.
Yes.
So working on this, because some women, uh, even the question you're asking, well, what do you want? I don't think always have that presented to them. So as women who might not have their tribe, how can we help each other, champion each other more, and be for each other?
So I think a huge part of it is going to come from us having those conversations. We live in this carefully crafted and curated Insta world where we are constantly bombarded with images of perfection. And if we allow ourselves to get caught up in that and measure ourselves against all of that, we will always feel like we're coming up short, and we'll feel like we can't talk about what's really going on in our lives. And all it takes to be a professional powerhouse, or to be an incredible mom or wife, spouse, friend, partner, community member, working hard for the causes that are dear to our hearts. And so I think, first of all, we have to completely drop down all of our illusions that we somehow have to look like we have our shit together, because none of us do. I've been incredibly successful because I've worked my ass off, and because I found something I'm incredibly passionate about. But I am a hot mess because, because all of us who are trying to do so much, we are hot messes. And I think there's a lot of power in us having conversations with one another in the real world and online about how we've fallen flat on our faces, and what we've learned from it, and how we've used that to fuel us moving forward. And then, of course, we all have to forgive ourselves for falling flat and embrace it, because it's going to happen. And that's where the golden nuggets are. I also think we women have to understand that we can inspire each other, not just by the stories of how I just did this and this and this, all of it perfectly. But I've personally found the greatest inspiration comes from the stories of, okay, here's how the you know what hit the fan. Here's what happened to me. And here's how I got up and did it. And I am trying to do my part to incite that kind of conversation among all the women that I'm able to reach. And I hope everybody watching will do that as well. Show up authentically as you in all parts of your life, because the world needs the real you, not what you think you should be putting out there.
So, and I think this will lead to this. If you were to give the audience one piece of advice, what would that be?
So I'm a big believer that pretty much all the bad stuff in the world stems from one thing, and that's fear.
Wow.
And I think a lot of women hold back from going after the things they want, or even daring to think about what they might really want, because they're so scared. And I have made it a point throughout my entire life to acknowledge when I'm scared, but then acting in spite of it. So whether you're watching this and you feel compelled to stretch your wings professionally, whether it's you're wanting to do something with your family, whether it's a cause that you want, whatever it is that you feel drawn to do, you've got to find the cojones to do it. Now, please understand, Maureen, I am not saying that you're supposed to be fearless. We are humans. Humans will always experience fear. And here's the kicker. When you're onto something good, when you're on your path, that's when the fear is really going to kick in. I've come to learn that it is a signal. Hey, Rome, you're on the right path here. Buckle up, sister. Now, what I've done is I have gotten in a habit of doing something with myself. I teach our kids how to do it, and I've coached thousands of women how to do this as well. Number one, you've got to name the fear. You have to recognize it and call it out. So whether it's a fear of looking like a fool, a fear of not knowing what to say, a fear that what you're going to put out in the world is going to suck, whatever it is, you have to name it. And then you have to just talk about what is the worst possible thing that could happen. I'm not talking about this fantastical hyperbole that you'd come up with. I mean fact. Give me the fact of what's the worst thing that could possibly happen. And when you do that, you realize that the worst possible thing really ain't that bad. And you got to be willing to do it. And then I've come up with a mantra that I want to leave with all of your viewers. It's called F fear. Now, the F might stand for fight fear or forget fear. For me, it's something much saucier, and I don't know if that F word is permissible on here, but I've always needed that more emphatic word, and I have adopted that as one of my mantras. And if your viewers take nothing else away from this, I hope that next time they are confronted with one of their fears, that they will name it, that they will go through this exercise of what's the worst thing that happened, and then they will declare F fear and do it anyway, because that's where the good stuff is in life.
Thank you.
You bet.
What's next for Romi? What's on the table? What are you working on?
So our direct sales business is still growing like gangbusters, and I'm having a blast with that. But also, I have been writing my second book.
Yay!
Yes, and
Fabulous.
It contains a lot of what we've talked about today, Maureen. It is a guide for all women. It's coming soon. I am overjoyed to have partnered with Portfolio Penguin Random House to bring it to life. And there's going to be fun information about it and some pre-launch, pre-sale stuff going on later this fall. So if you're interested, if you like what I'm putting out there and you want to be part of what I like to call the Have It All Sisterhood, go ahead and visit rominewstat.com and go ahead and sign up for the sisterhood. And there's going to be lots of good tools and fun things out there. I'm having a blast, and I love helping women design the lives they really want.
We'll have the link
Great.
for your website, and then keep everyone posted on the book, because first book was amazing. I can't wait for the second.
Thank you.
Thank you for making the time today and the whole experience and just being you. And again, I'm hoping that a lot of women will get to see this, because I know they will get a tremendous amount out of it.
Thank you so much. And thank you for putting this out in the world. I know it's a lot of work, and I know it can be scary. It's all the things we talked about, but good for you for putting it out there. You're part of elevating this female conversation and all of us helping one another. Way to go.
Thank you.